Hey y'all, I'm Bergie. I'm a former corrections officer that spent many years behind the wall with men and women fighting the grips of addiction, mental health, and trauma. I don't just mean the inmates. During that time, I became more aware of my own issues and that I wasn't alone. I just wore different clothes. So pull up a chair, grab a snack, get comfy. As my friends and I tell our stories, share some laughs, maybe some tears, and dive deep into the path of recovery, where we go next, and spread the word that you don't have to do this on your own. Welcome to Handcuffs to Healing.
And action! Here we are. We're back. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Handcuffs to Healing. Miss Gent is still here. Here I am. So we were, we left off at my loud mouth. And how was your favorite alarm clock? Yeah. How you had all the energy in the world. And, we talked about your past addictions. We talked about, you realizing that your addiction affected more than just you.
Oh, yeah.
Including a complete stranger that saved your life.
Yep.
That sent you to me.
Yep.
Another complete stranger that's affected my life, and I've definitely affected yours. This is true. So yeah. So kind of leading into, I guess, the recovery standpoint. When I got out of jail, my best friend Morgan came pick me up, and I moved out to Kansas City, Missouri, which a little backstory on that is I had lived in Kansas City, Missouri once before back in 2011 because I played women's football, full contact tackle football, fully clothed tackle football, not the lingerie league.
You could have.
No, you could have. It was the IWFL, the WFA.
You're 40 and look at you. You could have.
Thank you. Thank you. But no.
No.
But yeah, so I'd played football before, and Morgan had a house in Kansas City. So, one thing that they do teach you in recovery is you got to change people, places, and things. Like you can't be around the same people, and you can't be at the same playgrounds and expect things to change. If you don't change something, then nothing changes.
Well, and that's like we were talking about, being in a familiar area and you driving past somebody. Yeah, I overdosed there. I used to hook up with, that my plug lived here, blah, blah, blah.
Those are
You
triggers for
become
sure.
too familiar.
Yeah. And it's just too easy to slip back into old habits when the convenience of knowing that's where you could possibly go, or they're going to know somebody. So yeah, I moved out there. I was on probation for a year when I got out of jail. So I was still, having to do all the right things. However, I did relapse. And again, this is something that I didn't realize at the time because she had a baby, and I was in my mind a functioning addict and didn't realize the entirety of the harm that I could have caused her. She could have lost her custody of her child, not only by having a felon, in active addiction in her house, and God forbid the worst of the worst could have happened. Something of mine could have been left out and made contact with that child, and the worst of the worst could have happened.
And during this time was the first time you finally reached out to me.
Yeah,
You found me on Facebook.
Yeah, it's, you never know who you can find that can help you get out of these dark places. That's not going to be judgmental, and it's not going to, kind of be like, well, like you said, you did this to yourself. That's not the answers that I'm looking for at that time. That's hey, I'm struggling and I don't want to do this, but I don't know what to do right now.
But what did I tell you when you left?
When I left jail?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one thing is don't come back, but that if I ever needed anything, just to reach out to you. And
I don't stop giving a shit. I don't stop giving a shit just because you walk out the door.
And just because I was an inmate doesn't mean I can't be a friend. So
you're a person.
Yeah,
I never treated y'all like anything else. I mean, if y'all wanted to act like inmates, I could treat you like an inmate.
correct.
But if you wanted to act like a human being and wanting to converse like human beings and behave like proper human beings, okay, cool. We'll sit in the pod, shoot the shit. We'll talk. I'll sit on the bunk while you cry. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and a county's not like the prisons and stuff like that. Like the mental health and stuff like that is limited. Like, you only get seen like every so often by the mental health,
and really even then they don't do a deep dive to actually see the type of medication. Like everybody in there is on the same type of medication. You go to see,
because you're so limited on what you can get because so many
right,
things being a narcotic, and
like
we didn't give
psych
narcotics.
meds that they gave out. Everybody's on Buspar and everybody's on
Everybody's on
Prozac
Visceral.
or
Everybody's on Zoloft.
Zoloft. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
they don't really get in there. And then too, like you say, you get to see them once a month, and they're like, "How are you feeling?" Well, I'm anxious and I'm depressed. Well, you're in jail.
And
A
then
lot of your life
and
choices are coming
you
to
you
realization.
would talk to nurses, and there were some nurses that would actually listen to y'all.
Yeah.
There were some nurses that would actually sit down and talk to y'all. I know Nurse Jen on night shift.
Yeah.
There was Erica on day shift. There was Amber, Nurse Amber.
But yeah,
She worked intake a lot, but every once in a while she would be on the floor. We had several good nurses that come through and actually listen to y'all when y'all said, "Look, I'm having an issue."
yeah.
And then that you had the some like Penny that would either put you in a pill suit or say, "Well, I'll put you on the list to see psych. I can't do nothing."
And then a month later, you're still waiting to see psych. Like it's not the type of help that you need. And so, yeah, so I went to Kansas City. I was on probation for a year. I was living with Morgan. I ended up relapsing, and Morgan did what was best for her, and she showed me tough love. She kicked me out of her house. She had threatened multiple times to call my PO, and it wasn't because she was being a bitch about it. She genuinely cared and wanted me to stay on the right path because she knew my capabilities and knew that if I could just stay away from the shit, there's definitely a promise in life for me.
She knew that you had potential.
Potential, that's where I'm looking for, yeah. But she had to protect herself and set those boundaries as well. I've had to do that with somebody that I've, known for the last 10 years. She was one of the first people to talk to me the day that I went and buried my dad and went to jail. The next day, she was a person that was very deep into recovery, regardless of her current situation being in jail. And she planted that seed in me that there is another life and you can live without drugs. And so for 10 years, I have talked to her off and on, and the times that she's been in the madness and how it's affected me, I realized how I had affected Morgan. And thankfully, we've had a friendship for 16 years. And thankfully, she didn't give up hope on me. And thankfully, she, still gives me opportunities to have a good life, which is what's led to me being a pig farmer. I currently live in her grandmother's house. And so, I have not gone to meetings like I'm supposed to. I do not technically have a sponsor. And so,
Well, and not every recovering addict and I know a lot of people are trying to get away from the term addict.
I mean, it's,
So, you used to get so mad at me all the time because I would, try to beat into your head, look, you have this potential, like you were smart as hell, this, that, and the other. But Bergen, I'm a fucking junkie.
Well, I'm a felon. Like, what am I going to do in my life? I'm a felon. I'm a junkie. Like, there's nothing for me. There's not going to be a life for me.
But look at what you are doing with your life.
But the thing about, like I say,
do you know how many felons I know that have better jobs, better houses, better cars, and all that because they have some type of trade or something, or I mean,
it's definitely more likely that someone will be successful as a recovering addict when they have support from friends, family, or people you meet along the way, because there's those days. So let me just tell you this for an example. So, my mom and I went through a hell of a time when I was in active addiction. And, Something as simple as my mom telling me just yesterday, hey, I'm leaving the key under the mat, and that's your key to her house. So that is a daily reminder for me that, hey, my mom trusts me enough that I can be in her house, whether she's here or not. She trusts me enough to give me open access to her house, which means I'm living a life that's right. And
Because at one point in time, that was
I was
not
not
even an
allowed at
option.
their house.
Yeah. I mean, you
And when
had
I showed
many
up, the police would
conversations.
come.
Yeah, me and you had many conversations about that. You know, that was the whole reason, one of the biggest reasons of why you moved to Kansas City.
Well, it was very hard for me because I not only craved, but I wanted the acceptance of my family. I wanted to feel loved by my family. I wanted to feel important to them, and not realizing, it was kind of fire feeding fire, or however whatever that saying is. Like, their actions was fueling my addiction, and my addiction was fueling their actions. I mean, they had to protect themselves. They had to have those boundaries. Um, which was me pushing them away. And in turn, that was me fueling my addiction of, oh, I'm unlovable. They don't want me. I don't belong anywhere. And all that mess that the disease tricks you into thinking. And so,
Because
it's
what seems like when somebody sets a boundary, it seems like a rejection.
a rejection. Absolutely.
And then that can send you into a spiral and
Yeah.
everything. And
Yep.
even if you're not an addict and you just have some type of anxiety, depression, mental health, gone through the whole gaslighting,
Bullshit.
narcissistic,
Yeah.
you
Well, and with addicts too, you have a lot of the victim mentality too, which is something that also fuels the addiction. Is, when you're constantly the victim. Oh, well, they did this and that hurt my feelings, and I don't want to feel these feelings, so I'm gonna go get high. It may seem really stupid, but like, that's legit the type of
well, I
stuff that
mean,
fuels
y'all,
addiction. Is
and the stigma that y'all have to go up against every day.
right. And if anything happens, like, if I'm out of my routine or out of my character because of whatever reason, even though I have time clean, that's always in the back of their head, like, well, she's probably doing drugs again. And having that is not a fun thing to do. But you can play the victim, or you can go the opposite route and be like, oh yeah, well, let me prove to you not only that I'm not using, but you just missed out on being a part of my life that I've created. Instead of being like, well, they don't want me to be in their life. Well, then that's fine. But guess what? You got to live your life. And that's another thing with me, what I was getting at with, I don't go to meetings. A lot of times, the meetings that I've been to, it seems more like bragging grounds for people to come in there and tell their story of, oh, I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. And sometimes that's even triggering for me, because you're sitting here hearing the repetitious
Yeah.
of using. So I've not always been a huge fan of going to meetings. I'm kind of a white knuckle
And
addict, recovering addict.
you have never been a big people person. Like, you don't.
What? I don't meet a stranger, girl.
Oh, when it comes to sharing and talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
feelings
Yeah.
or experience or whatever.
It's hard
No, you don't
to.
meet a stranger. You sit there and talk to a fence post and make friends with the possum next door. You don't care.
I mean,
But when it comes to talking about real shit,
yeah, I'm very selective of who I generally let completely in, because you have very judgmental people. You have people that don't understand. I mean, my best friend Morgan, like I said, she, many, many times would just be like, just stop doing it. Like, you see what it's doing to your life, just stop doing it. I don't understand why you can't just not do it. And that's okay that she doesn't understand, but that's just not how it worked for me. And so, you so when I was in Kansas City, I did build a life out there, but I did also have some slip ups from time to time. Went through a terrible breakup and fell off horribly. There was just one of those days where, I don't know how to explain this, and maybe other addicts can relate. You don't it's almost like you just miss the feeling of being high, but you don't want that lifestyle. You don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. You don't want to do all that, but you just kind of miss being
You just
high.
want that numb.
And well, to me, the last slip up I had, it wasn't really I want to be numb. It was just like I wanted to feel that feeling of being high. And it was just kind of I hit the fuck it button that day and was like, I'm just going to get high. But let me tell you this, we were talking about spiritual earlier too. So, this is also something I've had a lot of spiritual awakenings with my recovery. So one of the last times that I used, well, not one of so the last time I used it was just, I just want to get high that day. And I don't know how to explain it. It was literally one day and that was it. But
Means mode of opportunity.
the time before that, though, I was on a little run I'd been using for about 3 weeks straight. I was in my bathroom in my apartment and I was looking at myself in the mirror, arguing with myself. Like, why are we doing this again? I don't know why you're doing, you know exactly what's going to happen. You're going to lose your apartment. You're going to lose every relationship that you've built so far. Why are we doing this again? When are you going to stop? Literally looking at myself in the mirror. And I sat down and I cried and I said, God, universe, whatever's out there, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm going to need some help to make sure this doesn't happen anymore because I'm done. I'm tired of doing this. I don't want to do this anymore. And this, hand to the Bible, a week later, my plug went to the federal penitentiary. And as far as I know, still there. His girlfriend at the time took over. And within 2 days after him being arrested, she was arrested as well. And so that was another sign for me that, hey, I'm pulling for you, Les. You know, I'll do what I can do, but you got to do your part too.
And you reached out to me again then.
And so, yeah, when you have these times,
you were like, oh my God,
the craziest shit you won't believe.
You were like, okay, don't lecture me. I already know, but here's what happened.
What happened?
And I had this argument with myself, and here was the answer.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you could have just as easily been caught with either one of those people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could have gotten caught. I could have OD'd in my bathroom and laid there by myself dead for however many days. Lots of scenarios could have happened from that. And that, you know, I knew that. And that's another reason why I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm tired of sticking needles in my body all over the place. I mean, I've got all, you know, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of this life. I don't want this life, but I don't know what direction to go towards. So after he was arrested, you know, I got cleaned up and I was just basically going to work and coming home. It was kind of my way of making sure I stayed out of some shit. I went to work, went home, went to work, went home. So earlier this year in January, Morgan's grandmother unfortunately passed away. And so I had reached out to Morgan already and was kind of like, man, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing out
here. You were going
back
and forth on that for a while.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't
We were in touch again at that point, and you were back and forth because of the simple fact that you hadn't exactly completely mended the bridges with your family.
Right.
You hadn't, you knew
there's a lot of
the familiar, the temptation, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you knew you didn't want to go back to that area, but you wanted.
I didn't want to be in Kansas City anymore because I didn't really have a purpose out there. I went out there to play football, went out there because Morgan was out there and I knew, you know, people. But at this point, I'm literally going to work and going home. And I was actually working a night shift, 10-hour job in a cave, the Gent cave, and coming home and sleeping the sunlight away. And that's just not what works for me. I'm being an outside kind of person. So Morgan and I had conversation. My lease was up in March. Her grandmother passed away in January. And so we, you know, talked through some things and I ended up moving back. So like I say, it was about an hour and 45, 50 minutes from her in Auburn and from my mom there in Woodburn. And I'm on a beautiful 20-acre lot. I have a house and a carport and a pond with a pavilion. I have the pig barn and I've got a shop and there's a creek across the road. It's absolutely beautiful.
And the horses, chickens, and
those are at Morgan's house.
And return cows that are out in somebody's yard.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's always something. But yeah, so for me, I think one of the most fulfilling things is like now I have a purpose. And my purpose is to take care of these animals. And what I've the bonds, and I know this may sound really weird and it's not no nasty shit, but like the bond I have with these animals and the way that they communicate with me without being vocal, um is just a connection that I've not had with people. And so that is a fulfilling thing for me that
Well, and not only that, it's you having a purpose and you taking care of these animals in turn is taking care of you
yeah, for sure.
because you you now know what it feels like to have somebody depend on you to be needed because if you didn't take care of those animals, who would?
Right,
You
because of
know,
where I'm at. Morgan's in Auburn, my people are here in Bowling Green area, and I'm an hour and 50 minutes away. So yes, they have to, but it's also I want to. It's not necessarily, and it's not that I get to. That's another thing. I get to do that today because
I gotta
Morgan
step
trusts
away for
me.
a second. Keep going.
Because Morgan trusts me enough to take care of these animals, and her dad trusts me to take care of the property, and I've proven myself over time, and it's not always been easy, and it's not always the best of days. I mean, I'm not healed, and that's something a lot of people don't understand with addiction is you can have many years under your belt clean, but you're not healed. I mean, there's still days that certain little things. So I had to give a pig medication one day, and I had to give it via needle. And that was a very big trigger for me. I was literally shaking. I was sweating, because I've not even put myself in a position to be around certain things that I know can trigger me. And but I put my big girl panties on and I sucked it up because this was a sick animal and I needed to tend to it. So I did what I had to do. And then I immediately called Morgan and I'm like, bro, so this is what happened. And I just kind of had to talk it out for a minute and realize that I'm okay. That's not for that drug usage. This is for saving this animal. Now move on, So, I mean, kind of like addiction doesn't discriminate. um your recovery is your recovery. Whatever works for you to keep you clean and sober and dealing with your demons, that's what you got to do to keep going to the next day, because it's always one day at a time. We'll get through today, and once we get through today, we'll deal with tomorrow. um So like, yeah, with me having the animals, it's they have like equine therapy and stuff like that, and bringing dogs and stuff like that around people, it just does something to your serotonin and makes you feel better. So when I get up first thing early in the morning before work, would I like to sleep an extra 30 minutes? Sure. But when I walk down to the barn and I say, "Good morning, everybody," and the goats start going and the pigs start going, it's just, I don't know. It's just very fulfilling for me. And I have met someone else in recovery in the area that I'm at, and we actually worked together there for a little bit. And so I've leaned on her heavily sometimes during days, and I'm like, I need you to kind of talk me through this. And she keeps me grounded. She calls me on my shit. Um, so there's that. But yeah, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wouldn't be for the support and, the help that I've had along the way, because it is most definitely the most difficult thing to do by yourself. I will always shout that from the rooftops, is that it's not easy to do this by yourself. But once you find your inner peace, and so like for me, I was wanting acceptance, I was wanting to feel important and all this kind of stuff. Once you find whatever kind of heals that, or at least quietens it down to where you can know your worth and know that you have um some type of purpose, and it may take some time to find that purpose, but you can do a lot with your life. So, just don't give up. That's my number one thing. Don't give up. I have slipped and I've gotten back up, and I've slipped and I've gotten back up. And so just don't ever stop trying. That's the best advice I can give you. About time.
Sorry. I have to take care of my mother as well. Um, so speaking of parents and moms, all that. So your mom and you did have a lot of struggles and everything. Talk about rebuilding that relationship with your family. Like,
So,
because I mean, you went through a really hard time. Like you said, you weren't allowed on the property or within
or
so
at
many
holidays
Yeah,
or anything. I was
like
just
y'all
not.
almost had a restraining order at some point.
Hey, I don't know, but
I think at one point there was, but I can't remember if that was after you got out or.
I don't think there was ever a restraining order, but there was probably consideration of it. But
Yeah,
it. So my brother and I are still estranged. That's a relationship that I don't know if it'll ever be fixed, and but I'm okay with that now because I know I'm not using, I'm doing the right thing, and I'm living my life for me. And so again, if he would like to be a part of my life, I would love that. But if not, I'm not going to allow that to bring me down. I'm not going to allow that to get in my head and make me think these things. He can do what he wants to do. Now, my mom and I's relationship has come a very long way. Before my dad passed, she's old school. She respects her husband, and, they both went through a lot of shit with me. I over time, I've had to learn this too, because like I said, there was a lot of time there that I was like, how can you not love your own child?
yeah, you were very resentful and stuff like that.
Very
And you
much
had a lot
so.
of anger.
Very much.
And, that's something that me and you talked about while you were in jail, after you got out of jail, after you moved.
Yeah.
Um, and even when it came to consideration of you moving back, because y'all were still
Yep.
kind of tiptoeing on
Yep.
communication.
Yep.
But so for somebody who is new in recovery, and still trying to figure out where they are and trying to make amends, because 12 steps is a big thing, and making amends is one of the biggest steps and it's one of the hardest
Yeah.
steps. So
My advice from my standpoint of things is it's gonna take time, because there's a lot of stuff that we do in active addiction that we don't even remember we did or said or how it affected our family and friends. Like there's just, and they have a right to those feelings, but you also don't have to let the toxicity of their resentments bring you down. If you know you're living right, you know you're not using, you know you're trying to be better today than you was yesterday.
but what advice would you give somebody to kind of extend that olive branch to say, hey, here's where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Here's, I mean, if you could meet me halfway,
Well, you got to prove yourself.
even a
You can't
quarter
just
of the
talk
way.
about it. You got to be about it.
Exactly. You got to walk the walk and talk the talk
Right.
and all that good shit. But at the same time, some people have so much trauma from losing their family because of their addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Ha-
I mean,
advice that's not going to land them back in jail
again,
with a restraining order, or, things like that. Yeah.
so you can definitely go old school and write it down. Write a letter. That way they get it. They can read it. They can reread it. They can go through all those emotions. They can think about things. And that's not that face-to-face rehashing. I'm doing good now, so what's your problem?
Right.
No, 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 no. It takes time because we've broken trust. We've probably lied, stolen. We've hurt them in more ways than we can imagine. So it's going to take time. I would say, like I said, writing a letter and just expressing, and don't be putting blame on anything. Don't say, well, because you did this, I did that, or I did this because you did. No, you just simply say, I am in a much better place now. I am this many recovery days or months or years. I would like to have a relationship with you and build a relationship with you. I know it's going to take some time, but at the very least, could we maybe eat dinner or lunch together and just kind of see where we're at? At what point do you the past and give that apology? Well, whenever you're ready to accept and take accountability for the things that you've done. I mean, you've got to fully understand. You can't use being an addict as a crutch. You can't be like, well, I didn't know what I was doing. That's kind of like that drunk shit. I was drunk. I don't know what I was saying. Okay. Well, being an addict, it's, let me see how to say this. If you're really wanting to change your life and you're really wanting to make things right, then the other person knowing that you know what you did and you're taking that accountability and saying, I know I was wrong, and you genuinely, sincerely mean that, and then you prove it with your actions followed behind it, while also setting your boundaries that, where you're going to be good, because you can't just drop your boundaries and drop your wall to try to get these people back in your life. You also got to make sure you're good. But yeah, being able to say, hey, I was wrong. I should have never wrote those checks. I, period. I shouldn't have, it's not I shouldn't have wrote those checks, but I was an addict and I was trying to get some dough. No, period. It was wrong. My granny had just died. I shouldn't have wrote those checks, period. And it was wrong on my part. I apologize for my behavior. I hope you can one day forgive me. And now, but at what point do you forgive yourself? So that's something that each person has to work through on their own, unfortunately, because like with me, it's taken, I mean, I was in jail almost 8 years ago, and up until within this year.
And it's crazy that I hear you talking about two of the words that I preached on a daily: accountability and responsibility. You're responsible for your actions and you have to hold accountable for them and make your amends where you have to and things like that. That was two things that I preached to you girls. What was I used to say? You're grown ass women in here for doing some grown ass shit.
Yeah, so you're going to have to deal with the grown ass consequences. I mean,
But
forgiving yourself. So that's something a lot of people work through with the steps and their sponsor, and understanding.
well, your support system in general, and yeah, like we said, you don't necessarily have to, go through the NA, the AA, the whatever. Some people respond well to it, some people don't.
Right.
I am a strong believer, and you need that support system.
I think it's good to get into meetings to meet people that are actually working a program. That's another thing. A lot of times people go to these meetings because they're court ordered or because they're in a rehab that is making them go, and they're not there for the right reasons. They're trying to hook up with somebody. So be on the lookout for that. But if you meet people that are deep in recovery and you don't want to go to meetings, give your number, get their number, reach out to them, meet those other people, because whatever they're doing is working. So you got to be open-minded and willing. It's not just going to happen overnight. Like I said, thank you for letting everybody know I'm 40 and
But you look good 40.
Thank you. But I mean,
I didn't age as well as you did.
I told you why, but we can't say that on here.
Why not? Gotcha. Hi, Mom.
But yeah, like I've been going through addiction for many, many years, and I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried that. So you have to be open-minded, willing to make these changes, to get away from those people, to ask for help, to try something different, because obviously it's the definition of
insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
So if you don't change, nothing changes. You know what I mean? When, as far as, so like with my dad passing, that's been something hard for me to work through, forgiveness of stuff, because the last time I saw my dad was at my grandmother's funeral, and we were not on speaking terms. The next time I seen my dad, he was in a casket. So Um, those are
that was a hard conversation that me and you had about that,
still
because
kind of is.
it hit you one day just out of the blue for some reason, and I don't remember what the situation was around it, if there was something going on in the pot or whatever, but for some reason that stuck out to you, and you were just a raging bitch, for a lack of a better term.
Yeah, because I didn't know how to manage my emotions because the drugs numb those emotions. So that's another thing. When you start to get clean, you get hit with all these feelings and emotions, and you don't know how to deal with them. And a lot of times it comes out as anger because you don't know how to say what you're trying to say.
Because those of us with who don't realize we have mental health issues or whatever, we don't know how to deal with them because
Right.
it wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
We weren't giving the coping mechanisms.
No.
We didn't have the support system
No.
when we, tried to explain something ain't right.
Right. It's just, I ain't got time for that shit right now, or whatever the case may have been.
But I mean, you were at a low point. Like, you were so angry and you beat yourself up so hard over that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I was shooting dope at my dad's funeral and just trying to get through the funeral. And, then the realization that I'm never going to get to have that closure conversation, or to, you know, now that I'm at where I'm at, being like, look, I
mean,
came
yeah,
out of it.
because I mean, at one point in time, like, and I guess that's when me and you both realized we had some of our own shit to deal with, because in that conversation, you were telling me about how you were using at your dad's funeral and
Mhm.
everything, and you were like, well, why the fuck didn't I just overdose and go with him? Like,
I mean, that's just how I felt at that
and,
time.
here I was thinking, like, oh shit, here we go. We're gonna have to put her in the pickle suit, clean out a cell. Oh, she's gonna go on suicide watch, and she's gonna be the worst 5-minute watch ever.
Yeah, just
But it was the fact that you were so vulnerable and you took accountability for your actions, for your thoughts, and you realized, it was like an epiphany of, you could see every choice that you made that
yeah,
led to that point.
yeah. And when you're at a
And me and
low,
you, that was the pinnacle that of changing our relationship, because, as you say, this big 7-foot tall bitch
mm-hmm,
came in, sat down on your bunk as you cussed and screamed at me and said, "You're gonna fucking talk to me.
mm-hmm.
We're gonna figure this out."
Yeah, because when you're at that much of a low, all you need is like that one person to be like, okay, but now there's only room to go up. Like, you don't have to quit. You don't have to lay down and die. You don't have to,
I mean, it's either
now we go up.
it's either you're gonna go up or you're gonna keep digging.
Well, when I was at the low I was at, I don't think there was no more digging to
Exactly,
dig.
and that's something that you
So,
came to a realization, because you were like, you were you realized right then and there you were at your walk by.
yeah, and just so many missed opportunities, stuff like that, stuff that I know I missed out on already, holidays and birthdays and stuff. I've already missed out on that, but now it's a done deal. It's never going to happen again, regardless if I'm clean or not. So to me, I want to make the most of each day, and I don't want to spend 2 hours trying to track down a plug and then go and use and then, figure out where I'm getting money from, and then going through, I've spent a whole day doing nothing but trying to chase that next high. I mean, it's just, I don't want to do that anymore. And, I'm not saying I'm healed. Like I said, I definitely have bad days. I called you one day when I found out Shannon passed away. I was a
Yep,
sobbing mess and
because you
called
found out a
her.
couple months later.
Yeah, I had
Um,
no idea, and Shannon was something else. But she affected my life and made me see things differently, through a different perspective, which has also affected my life long term. And that's, don't judge people by their decisions when you don't know what their options were. Don't judge people by their choices when you don't know what their options were. That's something that stuck with me. I think Shannon's the one that said that, and People.
For her to be one of the most annoying pains in my ass in that jail, I had a super soft spot for her
Yeah.
just because of the fact that
She just marched to the beat of her
oh
own
my God.
drum.
And but she had so much depth to her.
Yeah.
Like she was an old soul too.
She saw things differently, and that's why I say,
In 1 minute she was like, "Oh, we can be better." We had all this positivity and all this, we can fix ourselves by doing this, this, and this. But then the next day she's got somebody doing a drop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened to the Shannon 12 hours ago?
And always hungry. That girl was always hungry.
But and that's just, again, it's not just the battle of addiction; it's a battle through mental health.
Yeah.
So the back and forth between what you know is right, but then what your disease tells you need.
Yeah.
It's a constant battle.
And it's a horrible thing. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I don't care how much I don't like you. I wouldn't wish it on anybody because, like say I can be having the best week ever. And then one little thing, I mean, literally when I drove by that jail, my stomach was in knots. I mean, I literally felt sick to my stomach. That's how emotionally affected. So think about, like I said, the day, I don't know if you heard me, having to give the pig medication and I had to do it via needle, or like, okay, I had to go give blood.
You called me that day,
man. So the day,
losing her shit.
yeah, I was like tore out of pieces because mentally, the last time I stuck a needle in my arm and saw blood shoot into it, there was drugs going back in. And so my body reacted in a way that I've never felt before when I was giving blood.
The emotions you had that day, I have
Oh my
never,
gosh.
you were distraught. Look, you're not one for the emotions. You're not one to cry and stuff like that.
Oh, I did that day.
But for this girl to call me, it was everything. And like, I wanted to just crawl through the phone and just hug her and tell her, baby, it is okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was shaking. And, just
And you wouldn't think something so simple would be such a horrible trigger.
Yeah. I mean, because my body was literally waiting for the drugs to come into me, but because my dumbass looked down and seen, the blood going into the tube, whatever. And yeah, just something that simple because I've shot drugs through a needle for so many years that when you see blood, that's a good hit and drugs are coming soon. And so, yeah, there's things that'll throw you off your rocker just like that, even though you've got so much time in and you're not even thinking about it. I mean, there's still days I go to get a bowl of cereal and I see a spoon. Just something as simple as that. There's a lot of things and you got to be careful and you got to take care of yourself and your mental health and, lean on people and call people when you're having a moment just to kind of calm you down and get you through and say,
sometimes
okay.
Sometimes you just need to talk about it. Sometimes you just need to get it off your chest.
Yeah, for sure. So,
and I mean, everybody has their way of venting and their way of coping. So, I mean, and for you to have the trust to call me and for us to have the relationship, because would you have thought 8 years ago that this would be a thing?
8 years ago, I wanted to fight you in the parking lot so bad.
8 years ago, you also said, "You wait till I get out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look you up. We going out. We
here I am, but I ain't going out in Tennessee.
But the only place she's invited me to is a pig farm.
I mean, it's a pretty cool place, though. There's
All
lots
right,
of
so
cool stuff.
now that we've covered through a lot of raw emotion on a lot of tough subjects, and you were in such a better place than you were when I met.
I'm in the best place I've ever been in my life, I feel like, because I can acknowledge my feelings when I'm upset. I do try to talk about my feelings if something is going on. I still do struggle trying to get like the right presentation or the right words out of what I'm feeling. Like that is something I still struggle with, but I do try to be like, okay, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is the actions that are making me feel this way. And I don't want it to be this way, but I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that is something that I do try to be better at. I try to focus on positive things. Every day my drive to work, I'm saying I'm thankful for my house. I'm thankful for my truck. I'm thankful for my animals. I'm thankful for my job. I'm thankful for my ability to be able to go to
And
work.
you were
I'm
not
thanking
Miss
for
Positivity 8 years ago.
no.
You were the
I was
biggest.
so angry.
You were angry.
Yeah.
So now that we're on this positive stride and we're no longer living in the negative, we're no longer living in the shame and things like that.
Yeah.
Let's end it on a lighter note. Let's have a goofball moment. Hey, look, it's you. So I was almost expecting you to be like and just rip one off. But okay.
I don't know how PG. I'm trying to
It's-
keep
it's
in mind that
not.
my mom
It's
is going to
not.
probably watch this. So.
Hey, look, what YouTube gonna do? Ban me?
Well, I'm more concerned about my mama than you two.
Mama, I'm sorry. Sorry.
When are we
Funny-
gonna have his cookout? Now, hold on. I got Mama Pt2. We've been waiting on the cookout since what? April?
Look. And I'm having a hard time getting people here because one, you got several people who don't want to come to Gallatin. Because just like you, driving by that jail makes y'all,
But I'm still on the outside of the jail, so see, it's all right. You come
do like I do, flip it off every time you drive by.
Hey, I know where to get some good pork. It's a good
I was gonna say
meat.
we can have some pork chops and ribs. Like,
well, you only get 2 ribs out of each pig.
So
how about some pork chops and like some roast and some sausage and bacon and I mean we put
okay,
down.
so fall is on us. It's not too hot. This that
Yeah,
neither.
pig roast.
Let's try to plan something for.
Listen, I'm gonna need y'all to come out your hiding spots and quit being scared and come hang out.
Look, I don't care if we do it in Portland. I don't care if we do it in Gallatin. Y'all got parks. There's parks everywhere.
Yeah.
There's grills everywhere. Look, I mean, if we can do a potluck, I don't care.
Will you please wear your uniform?
I will have to buy a green polo shirt for it to be. I mean, do you want me to give you a wallet of that picture? I have a wallet size.
Yeah. No, here's what you need to do. You need to get a Build-A-Bear that's dressed like that, and when you push the button, it says "Child." Exactly. That will keep me out of trouble for the rest of my days. That was like a level 2. That's like a volume 2. This bitch was on like a level 20 at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever time of day it was.
All right. Give me your best hey CO. I walk into the pod and there was 90 of you hoes hollering, CO, Fergie, hey CO. Now I want
I was gonna say what time.
No.
What time is it? No,
Which time is it?
That's why I'm always hungry. So when food getting here? I'm hungry. When's commissary coming? That was another one. When's commissary coming?
my God.
I'm hungry. Y'all starve us to death in there.
Starve y'all to death, but y'all stayed up all night doing 4 bags of coffee shots.
Not this guy.
No?
No.
No. No, you weren't doing no pick and pokes to trade for some coffee?
I mean, okay, so I get, but not no coffee shot. I liked it in my cup and drinking.
As long as you had butterscotch.
Listen, you made the best of it.
Well, I know her coffee order, so
do what you got to do.
Get that keffa. The keffi. Hey, keffi. Butterscotch.
Yeah. The Starbucks for jail.
Unless it was winter, then y'all have to do the peppermint.
Yeah, got to be in the season if we knew what season it was. But yeah, no.
So like, there's no.
No, mine was bye. Why are y'all in here? In here, just bye.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, again, don't forget to like, repost, share, comments. Hit us up at handcoastedhealing@gmail.com with any questions. Share your story. Let me know if you want to do an episode. Like, if you just look, if you want to holler at Leslie, I got an in. She's single.
If you call me Leslie one more time, gents. Anyway, I'm a busy person, so know that before you call me. But I mean, I am.
She likes them tall, and she likes them thick. She likes them big. She likes them chunky.
Thanks for having me today.
Look, it's been so fun. So on that note, tell them bye.
Bye. Get out. Go do something good today. Love you. Bye.
Y'all come back next week. Bye.
This time, I won't let them break me. This time, I won't let them hold me back. And I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself. I done came a long way up from where I used to be. If ain't nobody proud of me, well shit, I'm proud of me. I never worry about the minor, just the finer things. I told myself I'm gonna win and I put that on me. This time, I won't let them break me. This time, I won't let them hold me back. And I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself. Big dream, 100%. I know some people doing 100%. When I was thinking about not taking parole, they said, you know what I would give for a second chance to come home. That shit stuck to me deep, so this shit just ain't for me. I got so many people out here that's dependent on me. And if I hurt you in the past, and I apologize for that. Friendships and relationships, but I never turn my back on you. This time, I won't let them break me. This time, I won't let them hold me back. And I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself. I done came a long way up from where I used to be. If ain't nobody proud of me, well shit, I'm proud of me. I never worry about the minor, just the finer things. I told myself I'm gonna win and I put that on me. This time, I won't let them break me. This time, I won't let them hold me back. And I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself. Yeah, I owe it to myself, babe. When I look at what I've done all by myself, babe. This year is a big year for me. I finally get off parole. I've been dealing with this shit since 17. It's crazy how I finally got this behind me. It's over now. Thank you for that bullshit that I went through. I'm a soldier now. Thank you to the Lord because he got my mama sober now. For once they didn't believe it, feels good to say that I told you now. This time, I won't let them break me. This time, I won't let them hold me back. And I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself. I done came a long way up from where I used to be. If ain't nobody proud of me, well shit, I'm proud of me. I never worry about the minor, just the finer things. I told myself I'm gonna win and I put that on me. This time, I won't let them break me. This time, I won't let them hold me back. And I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself, yeah, I owe it to myself.